Well, the entire political debate around social welfare schemes and guarantees is back in focus. This, of course, as Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge has advised various Congress state units to act in compliance with their state budgets and not back guarantees or promise guarantees that cannot be fulfilled. This is important because, remember, this comes close in the heels of a Congress minister talking about reviewing the Shakti scheme that, of course, promised free bus transport to women. Now, remember, Congress guarantees have been extremely contentious. The BJP has constantly been hitting out of the Congress over these poll guarantees. But we must also mention here that whether it's the BJP or other parties like the Aam Aadmi Party and various other state parties like the Samajwadi Party, they have come up with poll guarantees time and again as well. But this entire debate around guarantees, of course, is an extremely contentious one. Are they good for the exchequer? Are they against the taxpayers? They, of course, have been in contentious ever since, the Lok Sabha polls. In fact, before that, this has been a long-drawn debate. But the Prime Minister has also waded into the debate. He says the Congress always releases unreal promises. What are the ramifications of this? Before I introduce my panel, let's quickly listen into all the political reactions that have come in.
ಈಗ ನೀವು 5 ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಿ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಿ? 5. ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ 5 ನೋಡಿ ನಾನು 5 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿನಿ. ಈಗ ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದ 5 ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ, ನೀ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಒಂದು ಕೈ ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಿ ಇವತ್ತು. ನೀವು ಓದ್ತಿಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಪೇಪರು, ನಾವು ಪೇಪರ್ನಾಗ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಇರಲಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಪೇಪರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಯ್ತು, ಕೇಳಿ,
ಪರಿಷ್ಕರಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ,
ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರು ಹೇಳ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಯ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಹೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ನಿಮಗೆ ಅನುಕರಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದಾಗ ಯಾವುದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾ ಹೇಳಿದೆ 5, 6, 10, 20 ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಬಜೆಟ್ ಇದೆ ಆ ಬಜೆಟ್ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಗಳು ಕೊಡಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಗಳು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದಿವಾಳಿ ಎದ್ದು ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಬಟ್ಟಿ ಮಣ್ಣು ಹಾಕಕ್ಕೆ.
It will continue, no question of dropping any 5 guarantees. I have been the president, we have promised to the people of Karnataka, there is no question of dropping any scheme. Among the 5 schemes which we are implementing, we will implement with full strength.
Yesterday, Mr. Kharge has said that we should not give 5, 6 guarantees, 10 guarantees, and whatever our budget permits, that much only guarantee we have to give. So Congress throughout the country, in many states, they are giving such type of false promises, false guarantees, which they are not able to carry out, implement. These people, only for the sake of vote, they do all these things.
And joining me on the show this evening, Asif Bhamla, spokesperson of the BJP, also Matthew Antony of the Congress is with us. Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist, is also joining us on Newsbreak this evening. Thanks very much all for being with us. Let me begin with you, Matthew Antony. Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge has made a very fair point that state units of the party must be mindful of the state budget before talking about guarantees. Look at what happened in Himachal. Look at the situation in Rajasthan last year. This is something that the Congress has faced time and again, and perhaps Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge in his own way has reiterated what has been the BJP's charge against you as well, that there are many a times where we see the Congress coming up with unreal guarantees, not in tandem with the situation of the state exchequer.
Vedant, the question is the Congress the only one who is coming with unreal guarantees?
That's a fair point.
What about the Ladki Bahin? What about the Ladki Bahin Yojana of Maharashtra, where there is so much of cost to the exchequer, and another 200 crores was spent on the advertisement of that one, and now they have increased the stamp duty from 100 rupees to 500 rupees, where every poorest of the poorest Maharashtrian is going to take the burden of this one, and the debt of the state of Maharashtra is 7,51,623 crores as on 2023, and we don't know how much it is by 2024.
But Mr. Antony, so have you in
what is
Karnataka.
wrong?
You have increased the sales tax on petrol and diesel. You were mulling a water tariff. There was also this entertainment cess that was being talked about in Karnataka.
let me complete with that. So, as a responsible party president, what is wrong in our president Mallikarjun Kharge ji saying that when you go to the elections, let us look into the financial prudence and the financial budgets of each of the states and come out with the promises rather than going out and then making commitments where you don't have a non-cooperative, you have a non-cooperative central government who doesn't cooperate with you on anything. You saw how the central government tortured the state of Karnataka by holding back the rice prices, by holding back the rice supply for that matter, by holding back the GST refunds to that matter. So when we have a central government which is non-cooperative completely, then we have to be very, very clear with what kind of promises which we make, where we stand within the budget, or to see what kind of provisions where we can make some additional revenue, so that we can meet these subsidies which we are promising to the people. Else, we don't want to promise and then fail because of a non-cooperative central government. That is the whole principle behind what our president Mallikarjun Kharge ji was saying.
Asif Bhamla, your response to that, because two important points that Mr. Antony has made. One, that it's not just the Congress party that has come up with the concept of guarantees. I mean, whether it's regional parties or the BJP, I mean, the BJP has heavily relied on social welfare schemes. They have worked for you in states like Madhya Pradesh, even in states like Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. I mean, your government announced a last-minute poll guarantee in Maharashtra as well, just hours before the Model Code of Conduct kicked in. So this is not something that's just confined to the Congress party. I'd like you to answer that question first, and then I'll come to the whole flashpoint as far as fiscal cooperation is concerned.
You see, the irony is that who initiates first? You see, it's always been initiated. Of course, if you see right from the Aam Aadmi Party to the Congress, you see when they give these stops. So we as a party, as the government, are forced. I understand. It could be right. It could be wrong. Let's be very tactical, because the development of a state is equally important for the development of the country. There is a point of my friend Matthew which I'm agreeing to. But on the other hand, if you see the Ladki Bahin Yojana, so Maharashtra is a different state compared to Karnataka. If you see the fiscal budgets of Maharashtra, if you see the deficit balance compared to Karnataka, it is much better, because Maharashtra is an economy which can survive on a standalone setup and a system within itself. Now, coming back to, see, you can't compare two states. One has to agree and accept that. So a yojana that has been planned, you see, so the social welfare schemes which the Bharatiya Janata Party has planned, which has been implemented successfully. So we have been successful. So we don't try to commit or conduct beyond a point. Now, like Ladki Bahin Yojana, the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister said that we will continue it after the election, and they will. And if they don't, now what is the follow-up on that Yojana? That okay, the MVA claims that okay, we'll give more, but they're giving us for 1,500 a month, we will give 3,000 a month. So it's not that you can't be. Let me complete. You can't be holier than thou. And now it's time they're realizing that implementing them is tough. You see, you can't be or rely on unreal promises, and that's why this row is not coming from anybody else. It's coming from and within the Congress by its own president. Leave alone us who are talking about it. The veto have to object. We as opposition in Karnataka are and will be objecting to it. But let's be very honest, and the reality is known by their own president, who's
but it's interesting that you said that the BJP is forced to come up with these poll guarantees. I mean, you should set the right precedent by not falling for it. But anyway, Matthew Antony, I'll come back to you. Neerja ji, your opening remarks on this debate. This has been an old debate, a long drawn debate. Many have sort of argued that this is not an economically or financially prudent idea to come up with SOPs or come up with poll guarantees, and ultimately it impacts the taxpayers after all. But politically speaking, why have these poll guarantees become the norm rather than the exception?
Look, to answer that question, it's obviously because your system is not delivering to people as they want things to be delivered. After so many years of independence, people are not getting what is their due.
Yes.
So that is where the debate needs to come. SOPs, freebies, you can call them whatever, but with people's position being what it is, it's not as if and with democracy being there, one person, one vote being there. So you are reaching out to them at a place when they think the system doesn't deliver to it. At least let's take what we can get at time of election. At least I get something tangible in hand. It's also seen as a safety net. All these social welfare schemes, it is a safety net because again the system is not delivering as it should. As for Mr. Kharge's comments, the Karnataka context, I think Mr. Kharge could have, said what he did in private to his chief ministers. Why go public? It's a absolutely sensible thing to say.
Yes.
Do what is fiscally doable. You cannot, otherwise the state can go bankrupt. And now also this, somebody mentioned the Ladki Behan Yojana in Maharashtra, 48,000 crores. And of course, it's going to benefit to grow women. And it's a game changer. It's seen as a game changer. But where is the money going to come from? That is a big thing. So I think overall, I would say we now need a national debate.
Yes.
On this issue, what constitutes a freebie, what is genuine social welfareism that the people deserve and need to get, and where is the money going to come from?
Those are very pertinent
Those
points.
are, that's a cross-party line debate that needs to take place.
Absolutely, and perhaps it requires senior leaders from across parties, including people, say, like P. Chidambaram, Ravi Shankar Prasad, who've been very articulate about this. But Matthew Anthony, come in on this point. Ultimately, it's the taxpayer who has to bear the brunt of these poll guarantees. I mean, I was talking about the water tariffs that the Karnataka government was mulling. Increased sales tax on petrol and diesel. There was huge outrage over this in Karnataka. Also, the entertainment cess. So, tax after tax for the middle class, and and as Neerja ji put it, where is the money going to come from for these to finance these poll guarantees?
Vedant, that's where I would appreciate the courage demonstrated by the Congress president, that we are in public and then we need to talk to the public whose vote we have got to come into the power. And he has talked to the party that we should be looking into the financial budgets while making promises to the people. At the same time, when we as a national party is showing some integrity to the people who have voted to us, what is the integrity of the Prime Minister who goofed up the Indian economy, who goofed up the life of the MSME, SME and a lot of people with the drastic or the foolish decision of the decade or the century with the demonetization, as well as with the taxing GST which is happening right now, and killed a lot of small and medium entrepreneurs. The Prime Minister doesn't even have the courage to admit, whereas he never misses a chance to come back and attack the Congress when we speak genuinely to the people that we should be really looking into the financial prudence and looking into the budget while making provisions for announcements in the election. Isn't that a responsible statement from the highest office of the National Congress Party?
Sure.
That's what we are saying.
Okay.
Do you have the courage
Asif
to make
Bamla
it?
come in on
If
this.
so,
in fact, the point
then
that Matthew Anthony made earlier, I think that was an important one as well.
Let me complete with that. Now, I need to ask BJP and my dear friend Asif also, that where does this money come from? You are taxing the poorest of the poorest people in Maharashtra by hiking the stamp duty charges from 100, 200 to 500. And you just implemented it. Whereas, we are saying that we should be careful who is reflecting and who is not reflecting. It is the Congress party which is thinking for the people. When we see that, we should be more prudent enough while
I'm running out of
announcements.
time. We'll have to keep it tight. Asif Bhamla, your response to that, and also what Matthew Anthony said earlier about an uncooperative central government. This has been the charge by various state governments that the centre, sits on funds meant for the welfare schemes, meant to finance welfare schemes of various states.
You see, firstly, I'd like to agree on what Neerja ji said. I have a lot of respect for her. And I think it's time. You see, me pinpointing at Matthew about his party or he pinpointing about my party is not the solution to this. There has to be a long term, solution which is applicable to all parties. It hasn't to be just optics. You see, optics work during elections. Elections are over. People get back to business, but
there's always an election in India, Asif Amla.
But it is people like me, Neerja, Matthew, who have to pay from our pocket. So it's not that it's affecting. But then again, like Neerja mentioned, that there is a time for a national debate. Let's sit on a policy. देखिए विकास के लिए और अगर देश की उन्नति की अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं, आज देखिए इट डजंट मैटर आज कौन सत्ता में कल कौन आएगा, बट अगर एक पॉलिसी बनानी जाए कि भाई दिस इज ऑल दैट कैन बी ऑफर्ड बाय इवन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट irrespective whichever party heads it or runs it, so if that policy framing is done by a group of sensible people, which they are in all political parties, be it state party or national party, I think that is the way to go forward. But as far as Karnataka in question is concerned, there are no less policies that they've come up with. Grah Lakshmi law, Grah Jyoti law, Shakti, free. अभी हम उन्हें गिनाने जाएंगे तो हम पर उल्टा वो वापस रिटर्न आएगा कि अरे why are you you're anti people, you become anti people. It's not that you become it's not that you are talking about in a frame, but then you become Anna Bhagya Yojana, which has got 10 kg of rice. Then you have the Yuva Nidhi.
So everybody is equally guilty. This is not something that is confined to one state. Everybody is equally guilty.
It's not my fault or anybody else's fault.
Okay.
But as a national debate and a national policy, if this wajah se ke apne reservation pe
yes, I think we come back to the point that Neerja ji was making earlier, that ultimately the system is not delivering. The system is not delivering, which is why political parties feel the need to resort to these poll doles or poll guarantees. But Neerja ji, finally, a word on fiscal cooperation and fiscal federalism. This has been something that has been discussed in the past 1 year at great length. States like Karnataka, Kerala, talking about how there's a complete breakdown as far as fiscal cooperation is concerned between the centre and the state. Now, that's also extremely crucial in financing welfare for the people.
No, that's absolutely critical. And I agree with you that it's come under huge strain, the relationship between the center and the state. And this double engine sarkar is okay as, as it goes as a political or an election slogan.
Yes.
And to win the voters over to the BJP. But does that mean that non-BJP government will not get cooperation? That is the implicit meaning. And that's a very worrying meaning that comes through. But just on the guarantees also, D.K. Shivakumar, whose comments seem to have triggered off Mr. Kharge's remarks, that they may be referring to this Shakti scheme, free travel for women. The guarantee in Karnataka, that some women have said that they are quite willing to pay. On the other hand, there's a large number of women I know, for instance, in Delhi,
yes,
who work on the outskirts and who have worked in Delhi for 15 years, 20 years, but have not gone and seen India Gate or Rashtrapati Bhavan. They just, there is a grind for them. And this free travel has made it possible for them to travel through Delhi. So for them, it's meant a qualitative change of their lives as a result of this free travel. So I think we've got to think at various levels. But again, reiterate this, that it has to be, cross-party debate. We've got to find the solutions there.
And I think you made an important point that we also need to identify the real beneficiaries and see that there is that sort of trickle-down effect, and the advantages of such welfare schemes actually reach the last mile and the last man on the ground. Thanks all very much for being with us. It's an extremely important debate, certainly a political flashpoint, but an important debate as well on freebies versus welfareism.